Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. The Trump administration signed a proclamation Wednesday suspending travel to the U.S. for citizens from 12 countries: Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Citing national security interests, the proclamation states that the identified countries lack sufficient vetting and screening processes needed to detect foreign nationals who may pose safety or terrorism threats to the U.S. The proclamation also partially restricted entrance for nationals of 7 other countries: Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel. Other considerations include a country's information sharing policies, presence of terrorists, visa overstay rates, and whether citizens who are sent back are readily accepted, it said. During my first administration, I restricted the entry of foreign nationals into the United States, which successfully prevented national security threats from reaching our borders and which the Supreme Court upheld. In Executive Order 114-161 of January 20, 2025, protecting the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats, I stated that it is the policy of the United States to protect its citizens from aliens who intend to commit terrorist attacks, threaten our national security, espouse hateful ideology, or otherwise exploit the immigration laws for malevolent purposes. I also stated that the United States must be vigilant during the visa issuance process to ensure that those aliens approved for admission into the United States do not intend to harm Americans or our national interests. More importantly, the United States must identify such aliens before their admission or entry into the United States. The United States must ensure that admitted aliens and aliens otherwise already present in the United States do not bear hostile attitudes toward its citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles, and do not advocate for, aid, or support designated foreign terrorists or other threats to our national security. I directed the Secretary of State, in coordination with the Attorney General, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Director of National Intelligence, to identify countries throughout the world for which vetting and screening information is so deficient as to warrant a full or partial suspension on the admission of nationals from those countries pursuant to Section 212F of the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA 8 U.S.C. 1182F. After completing that process, the Secretary of State determined that a number of countries remain deficient with regards to screening and vetting. Many of these countries have also taken advantage of the United States in their exploitation of our visa system and their historic failure to accept back their removable nationals. As President, I must act to protect the national security and national interest of the United States and its people. I remain committed to engaging with those countries willing to cooperate to improve information sharing and identity management procedures, and to address both terrorism-related and public safety risks. Nationals of some countries also pose significant risks of overstaying their visas in the United States, which increases burdens on immigration and law enforcement components of the United States, and often exacerbates other risks related to national security and public safety. Some of the countries with inadequacies face significant challenges to reform efforts. Others have made important improvements to their protocols and procedures, and I commend them for these efforts. But until countries with identified inadequacies address them, members of my cabinet have recommended certain conditional restrictions and limitations. I have considered and largely accepted those recommendations and imposed the limitations set forth below on the entry into the United States by the classes of foreign nationals identified in Sections 2 and 3 of this proclamation. Section 1. Policy and Purpose. A. It is the policy of the United States to protect its citizens from terrorist attacks and other national security or public safety threats. Screening and vetting protocols and procedures associated with visa adjudications and other immigration processes play a critical role in implementing that policy. These protocols enhance our ability to detect foreign nationals who may commit, aid, or support acts of terrorism, or otherwise pose a safety threat, and they aid our efforts to prevent such individuals from entering the United States. F. After reviewing the report described in subsection D of this section, and after accounting for the foreign policy, national security, and counter-terrorism objectives of the United States, I have determined to fully restrict and limit the entry of nationals of the following 12 countries: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. These restrictions distinguish between, but apply to both, the entry of immigrants and non-immigrants. G. I have determined to partially restrict and limit the entry of nationals of the following 7 countries: Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. These restrictions distinguish between, but apply to both, the entry of immigrants and non-immigrants. H. Sections 2 and 3 of this proclamation describe some of the identity management or information sharing inadequacies that led me to impose restrictions. These inadequacies are sufficient to justify my finding that unrestricted entry of nationals from the named countries would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. The ban is set to take effect on Monday at 12:01 a.m. In a video released by the White House Wednesday night, Trump said that on his first day in office, he directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions to make travel restriction recommendations. He also cited the Sunday attack on Jewish protesters in Boulder, Colorado in the video. The man charged in the attack, Mohammed Sabri Solomon, is an Egyptian national. Egypt is not named in the new travel ban. The policy mirrors a similar travel ban announced in January 2017, 1 week into Trump's first term, which banned travel from 7 Muslim-majority countries. That policy, while largely criticized, was ultimately upheld by the Supreme Court in 2018. That ban was later ended by President Joe Biden in 2021. Democratic lawmakers have voiced opposition to the ban on social media. They include Senator Adam Schiff, D-Caliph, while when Senator Ed Markey, D-Mass, who posted on X, "Make no mistake, Trump's latest travel ban will not make America safer. We cannot continue to allow the Trump administration to write bigotry and hatred into U.S. immigration policy." The new policy applies to foreigners from the named countries who are outside of the United States and who lack visas to enter as of Monday, June 9th. The entry into the United States of nationals of the following countries is hereby suspended and limited as follows, subject to the categorical exceptions and case-by-case waivers described in Section 5 of this proclamation. Certain travelers are excepted from the rule, it states, including U.S. permanent residents, athletes traveling to attend major sporting events, and immediate family members with clear and convincing evidence of identity and family relationship, citing DNA as an example. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 4th day of June, in the year of our Lord 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 249th. Donald J. Trump.